Nintendo deserves 40% of any video that you make on YouTube featuring one of their games. Agree or disagree? But first, coffee. Okay, so today's coffee is Royal Crystal Blend from Dotoru. It has a 3-bean rating on the sweetness, 4-bean rating on the acidity, and 3-bean rating for the bitterness, I guess, and it's medium roast. So apparently that makes it a balanced coffee. I'm gonna open this up and grind it. So I want to talk about the Nintendo system that they created something like a year ago, where they decided that, hang on, there's all this money being made from videos on YouTube and Nintendo's not getting any of it. So they created this system where basically you can volunteer to give them 40% of any profit that you might make from your video if it's monetized. So is this something that you agree with or disagree with? Because in a way, if Nintendo hadn't made these games, then you couldn't have made a video, like a Let's Play or a gameplay video for it, because, you know, there was no video game to play. So of course, you owe it to Nintendo that, you owe it to Nintendo that you can make a video at all. Just gonna put this in the grinder, by the way. And if they hadn't made the game, then you couldn't make the video at all. But the question is, if you make money from that video, should Nintendo get 40% of any profit that you make from that video? So what they're saying is, if you are setting up your camera, sitting in front of it and playing with a controller, playing the video game and showing people the game, you're saying that 40%, that's like 2/5 of this product, is thanks to Nintendo, not taking into account the fact that you're a human being which has been growing for any number of decades, while you've also been growing skills, you know, learning how to speak English. You know, so what, does your English teacher deserve a 10% cut of the money as well? I would say that, you know, the commentary is part of the main reason you would watch a video and not play the game. And so if you're, by the way, I forgot to say let's grind. Let's grind! So if your English teacher gets, you know, 20% of the money because they taught you how to speak and do a commentary, then that's 60% of the money going to Nintendo and to your English teacher. And then there's the fact that, you know, you're recording using a camera. You couldn't make a video without a camera, so that's already probably, I'd say, 30%. So that's 30 plus 40 plus 20, which is 90%, plus, I don't know, 10% maybe. Maybe the person who makes the video deserves about 10% of the money from this gameplay video. And hang on a minute, what about the house that you're living in? Unless you're recording it outdoors or in a cave somewhere, then maybe your landlord deserves 10%. All right, so now the person who's making the video gets no money, as well as the fact that they're a person who can play a game at all. I mean, there are people who probably are so bad at a game that they can't get past level 1. So that is really hard to understand how Nintendo came up with the 40% number, because they're assuming that anyone who, you know, made it possible that this video could exist deserves a cut of the profits. But then at what point do you end, really? Because you can speak the language, you have a microphone, you have a tripod, you have a camera, you have a house, you've lived for any number of years, you know, you can do math, you can do logic, reasoning, all these skills that you learned in school. I don't understand why your teachers don't also get a cut of that as well. I'm not saying that Nintendo doesn't deserve any of your money at all, because actually this really couldn't have happened. Sorry, I am trying to explain the coffee at the same time as talk, but I'm not very good at it. Gonna put the coffee into the filter now. Hold on, let's fold this filter and put this in. Oh, by the way, I'm using these giant filters. You can see it's a little bit too big for the cup because I just bought the wrong filter. I thought that I needed a 2x4, but apparently you need a 1x4. It's all very confusing when you don't know. These are the filters that I'm using today. They are Melita, and they are these are 1x2s. So I guess the one that I needed was the 1x4 or the 1x1. I needed the 1x1, not the 1x2. It's all very confusing. Just take that off and drop that into the, I give it a little tap because sometimes coffee gets stuck at the bottom of the grinder. Actually, while we're talking about people getting a cut, I mean, this is a video called While I'm Making Coffee. So surely if we're going by, you know, this video couldn't have existed without the coffee grinder and without this filter, then maybe these companies make money as well. So here's the company that you need to give money to. This is Japan Porlex in Kagoshima. This is the company that deserves at least 50% of the money for this video, seeing as it's while I'm making coffee. And let's not forget, Dotoru, that's a company that makes coffee, and they're a chain, but just because they're a chain doesn't mean they don't deserve the money. So maybe, you know, while I'm making coffee, 50% should go to the grinder and 50% should go to Dotoru. There's no money left. But then who's to say that you deserve money for making a video making coffee anyway? So let's go get the water. Hopefully not gonna spill it on myself like I usually do. Pour this in here. I don't understand what it is about this teapot. Don't buy this teapot. Actually, I'm not gonna say what company it is because it's not fair. Maybe it's just this one that's broken. But seriously, it spills on me every single time I use it, and I really, so dissatisfying. Okay, so I'm also going to put the thermometer in here. I'm gonna wait till it gets to around 90. I guess I could wait a little bit longer, or I could have it above 90. I guess it doesn't really matter. So I actually thought of one more thing that kind of confuses me about the do you deserve all the money that you make from a video? And that's the question of, this is a video game, and questions that obviously would be not contested in the ideas of piracy with movies or with music are things that we massively consider with gaming. So for example, you would never make a video on YouTube called, you know, this movie or this music. Or, well, of course there are plenty of those videos, but they're not very legal because in a way you're not creating anything new, you're just reproducing it as is. The experience of watching a movie is the experience of, you know, having it, you know, play on the player and then you watch it. Or the music, just listening to the music, that is the experience. But with video games, the experience isn't just watching and it isn't just listening, it's actually playing the game. That's why we call it a game, because it's something that you can play. That's why we call these videos Let's Play or Gameplay Video. So the whole point is that you can experience this product, you can listen to it, you can hear it, you can actually interface with it. In fact, because it's a game, if it's truly interactive, there should be a loop where you have to do something to make the game move on, and then the game should do something that entices you to want to press the controller. This feedback loop is what we call gaming, surely. So if the product is now just watching it or just listening to it, then what we're saying is that the gameplay itself is not the product. Just watching it is actually also the product. Playing it was the whole point, and watching it probably wasn't that interesting. But nowadays we've found ways to make commentary so that these, you know, even watching someone play a platform game could be interesting. What I think happened was with, you know, Onimusha, I think that might have been one of the original games, or Shenmue, when video games started to become movies, and when the actual movie portion of the game became so important that you could actually just watch it. And I think that is where companies have issues, because games are no longer just games. They are really fighting with the film industry for a cut of the same pie, for all of the same money. And so the issue really is, if a game can now be enjoyed without playing it, then has it become, in a way, a consumer, like a consumptive product, like a media, like a movie, or like a piece of music? So this is a really hard question to answer, because, you know, movies, you would not just put it on the YouTube and try to make money out of it, because that's really unfair. You're not adding anything to the product, and that is the product, just watching it. But with video games, when you make a commentary video, you add something extra, especially in the case of NihongoGamer videos where, say, you're translating while playing it. So now you're actually filling in information that wasn't there at all, so that people can understand and create a fan base around the game. Of course, you have to hand it to the companies though. That couldn't exist if they hadn't have made the game first. Okay, so I think this coffee is around the 300 mark, which is about as much coffee as I want, so I'm going to go ahead and put the filter on my Mickey cup, which I absolutely love, and do it like this so that I don't spill coffee everywhere. Royal Crystal Blend, Royal Crystal Blend. Thank you, Dotoru. You get 40% of the cut of this video, as does the 60% which I'm gonna send to Japan Porlex, because, you know, couldn't have ground the coffee without you. Now also, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying at all that Nintendo doesn't deserve the money. I think Nintendo does deserve the money. And I also realize that video gaming and making video games is really expensive business. You need highly skilled people to program it, to design it, to work with the film industry, to incorporate all these movie-like elements. This is not just a product which comes around by magic, which you don't spend any money. People are spending millions and millions of dollars or pounds or yen making these products. So absolutely, they deserve to be thanked for being able to make channels like NihongoGamer. This channel wouldn't exist if there weren't people making iPads and iPhones and 3DSs and PlayStation 4s and PS Vitas. This is all stuff that I've been able to make videos about because they made products for me. But what it really raises the question is, have game designers lost faith in their product? If it's not something that you can enjoy because you play it, and it's something that can be enjoyed just by watching it, then I would argue you have not successfully created a game, you've successfully created an experience that just happens to you. It's a passive experience. I mean, this is a very difficult topic to talk about because can you say that watching a movie is a passive experience? Probably not. If you're not actually listening to the story and creating conclusions in your mind, then you're probably not interacting very much, and you're not going to get as much out of the movie. It all depends on what information you have in your mind already, what kind of person you are, and then when you listen to information from the movie, you're going to respond and reflect in a way on what you heard and what you saw. And of course, the experience will be different for everyone. Just like playing a game, the experience is going to be different for everyone because the way that they play, they might be a great player or a not so great player, or they may play the game in a different way, or with Minecraft, you can make anything out of it. You can make building videos, or you can make horror movies, you can do anything with Minecraft, you can do anything with video games, you can do anything with a video. There are so many things that you can do. The question is, does a specific company have the right to say that they get a certain percentage and cut of your product, not taking into account the fact that you might be making a bad video or you might be making a great video, if those terms even mean anything? It really does say to me at the end of the day that companies are losing faith in their product as games. Now, I don't disagree or agree. I really can't say whether they should be able to take a cut of the money because clearly these videos couldn't exist without them and we're very, very grateful to them. But it sounds like they think, hang on a minute, there is money to be made. In a way, it's kind of opportunistic. They're looking at it, sort of a posteriori, and they're like going, hey, there is $1 million being made every month from Star Fox videos, and we're not getting a cut of that, but we could be if we asked for it. And so they did. They asked for it, and YouTube didn't back down. Nobody backed down. Basically, they just created this system, and YouTube said, sure, we'll tell you if Nintendo videos are being made, or maybe Nintendo has to find them themselves. And they're taking a cut of something because they know there is a pie to have the money from, which is how business works. So iPad created well, in a way, you can't say iPad created the category, but they really solidified the tablet category. And that's when everyone else started making tablets as well, because they thought they could have a cut of the tablet pie. And with so many great tablets coming out, like Surface, especially Surface tablets, there are great Android Nexus tablets, there are incredible, well, obviously the iPad is incredible, and everyone sees something and just thinks that they deserve a piece of that pie. And where does it end? I haven't even tasted the coffee yet, I've just been talking too much. I can taste the royal crystals. That would actually probably not taste very good, royal crystals. Nintendo takes the money. Is it because they do deserve 40% of the product? In which case, the camera manufacturer also deserves some of the product, your English teacher deserves some of the product, whoever taught you logic and reasoning deserves some of your product. Anything you put into a product, can be traced to where it came from. I mean, think about musicians. They're often saying, I loved Eric Clapton and so I created a blues album. Then does Eric Clapton get some of the money because you're playing the blues? And who invented the blues? Like, whoa, now we are talking about deep American history. We're talking about jazz, and where does it end? Who gets the money from this? And it's really, to me, I think the base of this argument is money will go to the people who think that they deserve a piece of the pie. And it won't end until people stop grabbing the money purely because they think they deserve it. And by deserve, I'm thinking the word entitlement. They are entitled to a certain amount of the profits that you make, regardless of whether you've made a popular video, not popular video, a high quality video, or you spent 1 minute making this video. You might have been making coffee while talking about something and making a video, so who knows if you're even trying very hard. It's so hard to really put your finger on this one. I don't know the answer, but I'm very keen to know what you think. Does Nintendo deserve 40 or 30% of a video that you make featuring their game, even if you're playing it and adding something to it that wasn't there before? I don't know. I honestly don't know, and I'm actually quite considering, signing up for this program so that I could have a cut of the money, because if there's going to be profit made from it, I feel like if I'm gonna spend, 2 hours of my evening making these videos when I could be spending time with my loved ones or, hanging out with friends, doing anything else, I feel like I may as well ask for a piece of the pie as well. Maybe I feel entitled as well. Who knows where it ends? It's a huge discussion, and I would love to hear what you have to say about it. I might even make a commentary. I might make a comment response video if the comments are great enough in this. I've never done a comment response video, but I'm game for anything really, so do let me know. Also, if you like this video, do give it a thumbs up, and if you've got any questions or comments about how to improve it, do leave a comment. And if you haven't subscribed already, then do subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next NihongoGamer video, probably a coffee video or game video, or it might not be a Nintendo gameplay video, to be quite honest. Cheers. Hello and welcome to Ultimate Comparison iPad Pro. Today we're going to be looking at the iPad Pro 9.7-inch device and comparing it with the 12.9-inch device with a particular focus on drawing. So essentially, if you want to draw a full-body character on the iPad Pro 9.7 in landscape, it is possible. I just did find that I was zooming in a little bit more often. People weren't always staring over my shoulder like, oh, that guy's using an Apple Pencil on an iPad. I think really people just kind of left me to do my own thing. It's just the way with art, isn't it? When you're practicing and you're not 100% sure that it's something that you're going to publish, you don't really want people to stare at it until you've actually published it. And we can't just have a device that draws, we gotta have a device that draws and also does our homework and also watches YouTube videos and also sends emails and all of those hundreds of other things.